Okay, so let's move on to some of the more kind of practical aspects of prayer. You've mentioned your family life.
Yep.
So when in the day would you normally pray? How do you kind of carve out the time to pray?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, and actually that's really hard, particularly with a young family, a full-time job and everything else. When do you make the time? For me, I try to pray in the mornings. I try to have a set time when I pray and read my Bible. That time sometimes gets squashed or squeezed depending on what else is going on in the house. But yeah, so I primarily like to pray in the morning. I'm a morning person. But my prayer life isn't limited to that. I do try and pray throughout my day as I can. Often people call them bullet prayers, where you might be praying to God throughout your day or praying to God, praying with God as you go through the different things that you're doing in your day. So particularly if I've got a difficult meeting at work or a difficult conversation to have with someone or something like that, I might seek the Lord and ask for his help and blessing during that time. So that's not necessarily a sat down kind of traditional set time of prayer, but perhaps just a prayer as I'm going along or going about my day. And I do like to pray while I'm walking. If I get a chance to walk on my own or just walking the dogs or something like that, then to pray while I'm doing that is something I really enjoy as well. I find I like to move when I pray. I don't know if that's just me. Others like to sit, but that's something that I like and enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, that prayer doesn't have to be, once a day. Like you have a time of prayer and then that's it. And this is one of the lessons that I've learned a lot over the last, a few years, that prayer is a kind of conversation through the day as much as it is just a one thing. I think God likes us to be praying at all times, not just, you give him 10 minutes in the morning or something, and then not through the rest of the day. It's, if you're facing trouble or, God just likes us to bring what's on our minds to him at any time. I think that's kind of what. Yeah,
that's quite right. Yeah, and I think it's very easy to pray when we're in trouble. When we've got a problem or a time of difficulty, we do tend to pray more, I suppose, because we recognise that we need God's help. So yeah, it does take a bit of discipline to pray, I guess, when things are going really swimmingly as well, to make sure that we don't neglect God in those times as well.
Sure. Okay, so you imagine then you're sitting down, you're going to pray, and maybe you've got your, so this is, say, your time at the beginning of it. We often call it a quiet time, and I'm not sure why we call it a quiet time, but that's in church circles, that often seems to be the way. So what do you do? How do you begin? What kind of things do you do in that time?
Yeah, so I think I like to find a particular place where I like to sit. So I've got an office chair where I sit. It's a comfortable chair. Tends to be a place where I can close the door and have a bit of peace and quiet. I like to pray in the quiet. That's quite difficult to find in my house at times, but that's my preference. But so I settle down. Yeah, I usually have my Bible in hand, or as is more often the case now, I use an app on my phone to read the Bible. So I tend to spend a few minutes maybe just settling myself down and just trying a few deep breaths to just calm myself down and really focus myself on God and on Him and less on what I've just been doing with rushing around trying to get the kids ready for school or whatever it might be. So really, I do that. Sometimes I have a notepad with me. That can be quite helpful if you're either to note down things that occur to you while you're praying, that might be about the passage that you're reading or anything particular you feel that God might be saying to you, but also to get things out of your mind that aren't really relevant at the time. Maybe, I forgot to order this or buy this from the shop or something. Inevitably those kind of things pop into your mind when you're trying to focus on God and on the Word. So it's sometimes helpful to have a notepad there to write that kind of thing down, so it's out of your mind and on the paper, and then you can concentrate your attention onto God.
Yeah, I think I've heard that the distraction thing before. That so often when you're praying, I think these thoughts come into your mind. I forgot to do this. I've got to telephone so and so. I don't know. Got a list of things. So yeah, keeping a note, really good idea, I think. Okay, so the last question then that I have is: do you have any advice for someone who's maybe either fairly new coming into Christianity, or maybe who's been a Christian for a while but is kind of wants to go a bit deeper, about how to go into prayer, basically get more into it?
Okay, so I think we need to be open to learning from each other when it comes to prayer. So there's many really good books out there about prayer that you can read, and you can learn about different ways of praying. But I think my advice would be to pray as you can and not as you can't. And what I mean by that is find out what works for you in prayer. We're all different, and we all pray slightly differently. The last thing you want to do if you're just starting out in prayer is to find someone who's got a real gift for prayer, who prays 6-8 hours a day or something like that, and then try and mimic them and try and copy what they're doing, because chances are you'll find that extremely difficult and discouraging. So just set yourself a reasonable amount of time, give yourself some space, and just see what works for you. Try a few different things, try a few different places around the house, or try a few different books to help you to get started. Do learn from others, absolutely, but like I say, also don't compare yourself to other people and how they pray. So I think that's the most important thing, really, is slowly working things out for yourself and exploring prayer in your own way. I think it's really important.
Great.